Thanks for tuning in to this special edition of RENSHAW Broken Murder of the Eye, reporting from the city too tough to die. And we're so thankful today because we have a legend with us today, Vic GASKA.
What time's he coming in?
An old New Londoner.
Yeah.
Who knows so much about a lot of different things. I went by your old house the other day, was thinking of your father, who was a great dancer.
Oh, yeah.
As well as a great character, just like you. And
He was born in that house. I was born in that house.
There are a lot of history back there.
My grandfather
Gaskas.
worked in a lumberyard down there before the turn of the century with a horse. I never met my grandfather. He died before I was born, you know. But East New London, I miss it still.
We're going to talk a little bit about New London today.
Yeah,
We're going to talk a lot about New London. The old times. It's good to reminisce about the old times, especially when you get somebody knowledgeable like Vic. But first, I want to thank Drew and Reggie, because I don't know if you realize it. I'm sure you do. It's nice and comfortable in here. And Drew and Reggie make it happen. We lost Mary Jane. She's out to pasture.
Okay.
So enjoying her grandchildren.
It's better than my house. I could sleep.
This is tremendous. We should do this more often.
Yeah, it is good.
So, Vic,
Yeah.
before we get to New London, you know, we lost a dear friend, another legend who
Nellie Coon.
taught guys my age so much. And all of us that work with Nellie would be nothing without Nellie.
Nellie was.
And I wanted to just bring back some memories.
Oh, Nellie was very gifted. Mechanically, he worked in a garage before we got to high school.
And he loved it.
Mechanically, Nellie was very gifted.
Could do anything.
Yeah, with the engines, but you know, back then the cars didn't have all the computers. He used to change take my dad's car for him. You know, even on Corey Road, just to do it. And Nellie had a lot of talent. Very good fisherman, good bass fisherman. You know, his father George was the champ. His father George, no one could outfish the old man. I mean, I heard stories about George. I saw pictures, things he'd done, fish he caught, and I went with Nellie and his father a lot fishing. But Nellie was even good. He was smart. He was a little frugal. He knew how to make the buck spread, but he was also generous too with his friends. You know what I mean? You went out with him or something, you know, and.
You know, I was apprentice for Nelson, like many.
Yeah.
If you were lucky enough to work for Nelson, that was like hitting the lotto, and he just had a personality. Everybody
liked Nelson. Yeah.
Liked Nelson. We were back in those days. It was Local 305.
Yeah.
Only 86 people in the local.
Yeah.
We did plumbing, heating, and sprinkler, and Nelson was a master at every one of them.
I used to give the classes, I remember. My uncle came in late, my Uncle Steve.
Steve, yeah.
Well, him and Pelleteri grew up together. So he said to my uncle, Steve, come on in the local, Steve.
Yeah.
Because they grew up when they were kids, and then they stayed friends. And my uncle said, my age, he says, come on in. He says, yeah. My uncle says, I'll come in under one condition. I don't come in the back door. I want to serve my apprenticeship. He's the oldest guy that ever served an apprenticeship with the fitters. And he did. He went in, he served his apprenticeship.
You know where he was working?
A lot of guys respected him for that.
One of the first jobs he was working on was East Lyme High School.
Oh, yeah? Yeah.
Let me go through a couple of these jobs, okay?
Yeah.
And, you know, we knew nothing. Nellie taught me how to tie a half hitch. Yeah. He taught me how to string a line. He taught me He taught me anything that I know. It was because of Nellie Cohn. But one of the first jobs we were working was down the high rise, Crystal Avenue. Were you down there?
Yeah, I was there between there and the Coast Guard Fieldhouse. That was 1966.
He was down there, and these are the guys that were there: Teddy Sylvie.
Yeah.
Ninny was the business agent.
Yeah.
Gus Recanati.
Gus died young. He was a good guy.
Too young. Bill Sullivan.
Yeah.
we used to call him sarcasm.
Yeah.
But he was another guy. He wanted you to learn.
Yeah.
He was hard, but he wanted you to learn. Tommy Madison, Shag Fargo, Carl Bach, Joe Majorano.
All the old timers.
And we it seems like yesterday, but
Yeah.
Nellie and I we had a good relationship.
I was living on Eastern Avenue then, yeah.
I remember that. Yeah, and you used to go down to the.
Take 10 Diner.
They also
Charlie Messina
they also
owned
had
it.
a bar room down at the pier, right?
Oh, no,
The
down
Longshoremen's Club.
Maxie's Tavern, called it the Bucket of Blood, and across the street was a Longshoremen's Club.
Yeah.
My dad was an organizer and a charter member in that club. And I always wanted to join. I said, nah, you don't want to come. But I worked the boats. I go down and I started on the pier at 15, working the boats because Charlie Silvey was a boss for the town of New London, but he also was a president, the ILA. The other thing was Charlie's wife, she delivered me on Eastern Avenue. She was a midwife. So
What
I
was
was
his
like,
last name?
Silva, Charlie Silva. No relation to John Silva. But I was like part of their family. She delivered me. My mother passed away. We moved back to Eastern Avenue from Belden Court. And she was like my mother, you know. She delivered me. I was there all the time at their house. I was there all the time because, you know, she had brought me into the world. And I always consider it. But, you know, there was a lot of women like that in them days, Murray.
Oh, you had to be multi-talented.
I lost my mother at 10, and we moved from Belden Court. I was born in East New London. We moved to Belden Court with Nana Romano. And when my mother died, we moved back.
How old were you then?
10.
10.
We moved back to East New London. And from there on, I stayed until I got married. And then George Cohn told me about a house for sale on 10th Avenue. And we moved in 73, I think, or 74.
Wow.
The year before the centennial, and I've been there ever since. Yeah.
Now that was I remember us having parties on the weekends.
Oh,
And tell me if you remember these guys, because these guys all went as well as others. But Bobby Baldy,
Bobby was a great guy.
Vic GASKA,
Yeah, I remember him.
Frankie Pedro, the original Fonzie,
Frank was a great guy. These
the
are all
best,
these are all
Billy
good guys.
Neff,
All good guys you're talking about.
Jimmy Park,
Yeah,
Yeah.
Jimmy, yeah.
and we had more fun back then. We were working. The coldest job we ever worked on was the New London Mall. And it didn't get to be 5 degrees for weeks. And we used to go to McDonald's and have 4 cheeseburger lunches. But every day with Nellie was fun.
Yeah, Nellie was a fun guy. Yeah.
No matter where you were.
We used to go every Sunday up to the Blue Meadows. Nelson, Monica, me, and Beverly, every Sunday for a steak dinner. Because I ate steak. I don't eat steak no more, but I ate steak back then. And we'd go up there every Sunday. And then we went from there, we started going to the chopping block. Well, Frank Picazzio owned it.
Yeah.
I worked for Lee Morgan, was a mason. In the middle of the winter, we put that addition on where the kitchen was, and I'd have to go in early in the morning and heat the sand up so I could mix mortar. And then we'd wait the summer to come, then we'd work. We had to have the mortar hot to lay the block. And then we started going there for years.
How many years were you laboring?
I was in 32, but I still got a book. I'm still active. I'm about 55, 50.
You know, talk to your son. He's talking about putting you back to work. Since you're getting putting a few
I'd say
pounds on.
something around No, I said to my son, kidding, I said, Sean, how about give me a job on the gate or something, checking trucks, do something for your own. You know what he said to me? Dad, I can't show no partiality. Well, he's a good kid. He's a good business agent too.
Very well spoken.
I told him, make sure you know what you're
Tell him to take that sign down. He came down and put a sign up for Joe Courtney. He never took it down. I had to take it down myself. I want to be reimbursed from that, from those laborers.
We don't give out much money. But I'll tell you what, Christmas time and stuff, he throws a nice party for the guys. He does a lot of cooking himself. Now he charters too.
He can't cook like you.
Sean's good cook. No, I don't know. He just brought me over some crab salad the other day. That he got 25 crabs, picked them, made the salad. Dad, I'm bringing it over. Of course, he left from my wire rod and reel because he's too cheap to put a wire on his. But I said, yeah, go ahead, take it, Dad. Dad, don't use it. But, it's a good kid. I have good kids, Barry.
When we worked at Millstone, we were all there. We were all there together.
Yeah.
And the world's greatest general foreman was Tony Pocaro.
I love Tony. He was a great guy.
Everybody, he
was good.
Best you could get. He loved Nelson.
Yeah.
Anytime he had a problem, he would always call on Nelson because he told me once I knew Nelson would never let me down, and he never did.
Nellie didn't care about Millstone. He wasn't crazy about it. He was a Filipina guy. He loved working for Filipina. I remember Nutsy, Dickie Filipina. He was,
Remember we used to have parties at his house?
Oh, yeah.
On Leary Drive.
Oh, yeah. And we had a picnic at my house. It was minimum 60 people. Christmas parties, you came in and signed the log. I had open house for Millstone. My wife would do the cooking. Yeah, we had Neil Hartong coming in and Larry Gomez and, a lot of guys from Millstone. All trades, different trades,
You work East Lyme High School?
No, I didn't. I think John, my brother John did, I think, with Billy McCormick.
So Nelson was running the plumbing out
He
there.
was sharp. Nelson's a sharp guy.
And it was the biggest snowstorm we ever had in April that year. We almost didn't make it out.
Yeah.
Worked all day though. And that's where Steve taught us all a few lessons. One of his tricks was he had an apron and he'd keep the copper fittings in his apron. And he'd just pick them out, clean them. I mean, that was a time saving. He was a great crabber too, by the way.
Oh, he's a great fisherman, my Uncle Steve. Great fisherman. I could tell you stories. When he was in Europe, he never talked about all the bad things. Only one story was bad, but all the fun things they did, that guy was unbelievable.
He had his wife.
Bronze Star.
Wife was very nice.
Yeah, she was a nurse.
Nurse.
My uncle was a Bronze Star.
I didn't know he had a Bronze Star.
4 oak leaf clusters, that means 4 of the stars with it. Every time you instead of putting another Bronze Star, they put a cluster. I gave his eulogy. Silver Star. I think he got popped a couple times. I mean, he had ribbons, but he talked about the good times. Funny, he said, I remember, I just read some letters that he wrote my dad when he was in the service. And he said, well, today, Vic, we're on the south side of the Rhine. He said, the Germans are on the other side. He says, at lunchtime, we go up on the roof at noontime, and we watch the Americans come with the Spitfires and dogfight with the German planes. That was our entertainment. We'd go up and watch them have dogfights. He had some stories. Oh, my God.
He never talked about it, though.
No, he'd talk about, nothing. The only story I ever heard bad that he told, and I happened to hear it, and we were in a cellar cleaning scallops. And we'd go out there, my father, my uncle, me and my brother. We'd take a 16-foot wooden rowboat, throw it in the back of the truck. Back then you could take 6 bushel scallops with a bull rake, and my brother and I would cull. Then we'd sit in the cellar and we open them. $8 a gallon, and we were getting Murray for scallops.
Well, they were world-renowned, right?
Oh, yeah.
Atlantic-based scallop?
When I was stationed in Texas, I walked into a place, and on the menu was Niantic-based scallops. I almost freaked out. But anyways, he told a story. He was with a bunch of Goombas from New York, from Brooklyn, and they captured some Germans. And, my uncle felt sorry for the Germans, he said, because towards the end there, Hitler had kids 12, 13 years old. He says, you don't want to shoot at 13, 12, but them kids were trained to kill GIs. That was Hitler's last stand, the Hitler Youth Group. And my uncle said, but he told a story about, they captured about 8 or 9 Germans, took them down a wine cellar, interrogate them. He said his sergeant was an Italian. Not to knock the Italians, because I'm half a Goomba anyways, now, proud of it. And he said they interrogated them all. My uncle was there. Well, he was the only guy that wasn't Italian. So they got through interrogating him, so the sergeant said to the guys, after they got through, he said to my Uncle Steve, he looked, he said, Steve, did you say anything? My uncle says, I didn't see nothing. But that was one of the only time I heard, but he was telling my father, and he didn't know that I caught it, you know. Other than that, though, he told some good stuff. I mean, some unbelievable stories. I could tell you stories till the sun comes down. Funny stories. You know?
There's a reason they call those guys the greatest generation.
Oh.
That's probably one of them.
He was a medic. I know that my uncle, you meet him, you'll love them. I know Reggie Marsden always talked about my uncle. Every time I say, Reggie's not doing good now. He's kind of
The welder?
Yeah, he's
Mazzarella?
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't seen him in years.
Yeah, no, he's not doing good. But every time I run into the guy, first thing he asks me, how's Steve? How's your uncle? He goes, my Uncle Steve. You know? Oh, that's how Steve was. Him and my father had different personalities.
You know, Kibby Champlin bought his house, I think.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he bought Steve's house.
Yeah.
And Steve had that house built. A guy from Waterbury that was in the service with him, they called the kid. They called my uncle the Pop in his outfit. He was the oldest guy in the regiment. He was 21 years old. All the other guys were 16, 17. And this guy after the war came from Waterbury, my uncle came up and built my uncle's house.
Beautiful spot.
Oh, the guy was a master craftsman. He could make fly rods out of boxes that they'd send the grapefruits and stuff in. They were like bamboo boxes. This guy would make fly rods. I mean, they did everything, Murray.
So let's talk a little fishing here.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, Nellie got me into fishing. He was a big striper fisherman.
That was his thing,
those
stripers.
days.
Yeah.
You did a lot of fishing with him.
A lot of fishing.
We went out to the race in 14-foot Starcraft.
Crazy. Yeah, I know.
We hooked onto a big sunfish, and we're pulling this sunfish.
I heard you hooked it with a gaff and a rope. That's what I heard.
I wouldn't have been me. It would have been he must have told me to do it. But all we're thinking about, we're going to get a picture in the paper, you know. You know that thing
Almost pulled the boat on.
almost pulls us under.
Murray, they go 500-600 pounds, you know. And they don't swim fast. And you could always tell a sunfish because he'd be swimming. You see the fin, then all of a sudden the fin flops. Not like a shark. When you see a shark, the fin stays straight. But me and Nellie had some lot of adventures.
And he did a lot of, well, I don't know if you call it commercial striper fishing, but
That's what he did.
him and Monica was involved with that as well.
Oh, you kidding? He didn't leave the pier without her. It was funny because there was big money in striped bass. So I'd go and I like to fish. I'd go with Nellie. I did a lot of bass fish. I got burnt out on it. I went so much with them. But anyways, they'd take the fish to Teddy's and then they ship them to New York. And Monica'd get her cut. And I said to Monica, oh, another diamond in your area. She'd take her money, she'd buy diamond. So I said to Nellie, where's the fillet knife, Nellie? We go out fishing. He said, why? I said, if she goes over, I'm going for the ears. She had about 4 or 5, diamonds in her ears. That's what she did with her money. She was Monica, unbelievable cook. Unbelievable cook. She used to make stuffed crabs. I mean, she could cook anything. We'd go over there, play cards one night a week. She'd make pizzas you never even heard of. Yeah, she was a good cook. They were good people.
When I Nellie took me for my first legal beer, down to Huey's, where he introduced me to the great one, John Madden.
The Bipper.
The Bipper.
I love that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a great guy, John Madden.
And we had, then we got on the airplane. Remember the airplane scam? Where?
Oh, the pyramid or the plane.
Yeah,
the
me
plane.
and
yeah.
Nellie, we got in on that. Our plane crashed.
He'd come to my house with a bunch of people I didn't want nothing to do with it.
We were gung ho on that.
Yeah.
And we were also
Bob Silver, he was in on that. See, every Sunday without fail, There was about 12 or 13 of us. Some guys come from Central Village. We'd go up to Georgie Worrell's house, up a box hall, and we'd ride all the Connecticut Yankee through the woods with woods machines.
So that was the
Pedro,
the BSA. There was
500 woods BSA he rode. No one did that.
There was a TV show. I forget the name of it.
On any Sunday.
On a motorcycle guy, and Nellie got the bug. So I didn't like that wood stuff though.
That's all we did.
A lot of work, but he was an expert writer, and
he was good.
I'm glad you mentioned George Worrell, the iron worker.
George was excellent.
Also expert writer. And Nellie, not only could he write him, he could fix them. He could tear them apart.
Nellie.
Every set, he loved to be in that garage.
Nellie's very talented guy with that. I mean, when he bought his outboard, inboard out, Seacraft, I said, Nellie, I don't like IOs. He said, what's the matter, Vic? He says, there's an extra bend in the joint on the outdrive. That's just one more place for trouble. And Nellie says, I'll take care of that. He bought another outdrive. And it had one all ready to go, hanging. He had a thing in his yard with a bar across. He backed the boat under, and if you had trouble with the IOs, hook it up, pull it off with a come along, put the other one on, fix that one. And that's how he was. He was always prepared.
We used to love to go at my uncle's gas station.
Oh yeah, down Freddie Cash.
Loved to change the oil and putter around.
He was very talented, very talented.
Merlite Fire Company. You know, we had the first fire alarm on the market. It was battery operated. It had a little thing in the bottom of it.
Was that when you was down off of Piquet Avenue?
No, that was when at my uncle's gas station.
They stole his clock, didn't they?
Yeah.
With the flying A. I always remember that. They never got that.
They did. Mitchell College got it.
Mitchell College?
Kids from Mitchell College had it.
Did you ever get it back?
I don't know if he got it back or not.
Oh, he was.
How about when we got the pet crows?
Yeah, I had 2, 3 of them. Last one I had, my wife made me get rid of. I gave it to Richie Ferrets. Now there was a guy that was talented. Never said much. I cut a lot of wood with Richie. Talented, the guy could do anything. His wife had an old Pontiac. The frame was gone. He put a whole new frame under that car. He built that garage he had out of scrap.
Yeah.
The guy could fix motorcycles. There was a guy that was, I'm not taking nothing away from Nellie, but Richie Ferrens was one of the few guys who was like Johnny Pate, another guy.
Johnny Pate lived on the Oil Mill Road?
Yep.
Was he in the first house there?
No, you came down. I was on the right. I don't know which one it was. It was down a ways. We put a swimming pool in his yard. They dug the hole and we poured the swimming pool. But Johnny was another guy. He was so talented. I met him when I was bartending at Maxie's. He was on the Fulton, and he would come in and we became friends because he knew I liked to fish and he liked to fish. And we go out night spearing.
I remember going to his garage. He painted cars, right?
Oh, yeah. He worked for, I think, the Ford garage out in Saybrook or something. But that guy he rode motorcycle. He went down the Alligator Run. He was from South, you know. They had a 3-day run, I think, called the Alligator Run through the swamps. And there's a picture of Johnny's bike in the magazine, the motorcycle magazine. And he was smart. He took and he ran off the exhaust. He ran a piece of flex pipe on the back and he ran it up. Because you could run the motorcycles, but once you buried the exhaust, they sucked in the water. Johnny made it so that thing went up there. He could go in 3 feet of water like nothing. Very talented guy. I hung around with a lot of
Is he still
guys.
alive?
Nah, he died a few years back. I saw him about 3 years before he passed away, and geez, he was a good guy. I had a privilege of hanging around a lot of talented guys. I never got into any of that because my father wouldn't let me have a car. But Tony Jessic and all them guys, Willie Strickland and Pete Tyler, all them guys had cars. My father wouldn't let me have one. So I'd go around and hang around the garage. But I think one of the best mechanics and car And machinist I ever met, and I hung around with him all through school, was Mark Shepard. Mark still builds hot rods. Bar none, as Nellie would say, a machinist.
You around here?
He lives up in Salem.
Huh.
Yeah. Unbelievable the stuff this guy could do. I was happy. I met all them guys. I hung around, and I picked up little bits and pieces and threw them in a basket, and I maybe sometime could use a little bit of it. But I'll tell you a story about Nelson, how efficient he was and how fussy he was. My furnace went in my house, and I was living in the other house next door. And so Gene Dyer lived next door to me. He was a good neighbor, Gene, you know. And he owned Hillary, and they had a union shop and a non-union shop. And he said to me, you need a furnace? I said, yeah. He says, I'll give it to you cash, 2% interest. No, okay. And he got it for me cheap. Well, we got it down my cellar. And I said to Nelson said, I'm going to hook it up for you. So Nelson come down. I went to Dianic Plumbing. I said, you tell me what I need, Nellie, make a list of. Well, he hooked it all up. Nellie, even when he hooked it up, he put back flushes on the returns or whatever. He put things in there, so if I needed to flush the furnace, I shut these valves, open these valves, and it was blown, and would flush my furnace. They didn't do that. No one put that in. That's how Nellie was. He was very efficient. Remember the wood stove he had in the cellar?
Yeah.
He
Nobody could make him like him. You used to like American Standard Arco liner.
Yeah. And American Burnham, I think they joined after a while. They became together. But Nellie had a furnace in his cellar. It was called the Buddha. It was a little wood stove. They used them in chicken coops, to heat chicken coops. Well, he got the idea, okay. Took his furnace. Later on he did that, but he took that stove and he run a couple coils of copper around it. Intake, discharge, and centrifugal force. He said, if the power goes out, I said, no problem, right now. Heat rises, your hot water pressure will go up automatically by itself. And if it got too hot, he'd crack the window a little. And he did his whole house with that. Then he went to a big furnace in the other part of the cellar, you know. Very talented.
I enjoyed his, Von Hartong.
Yeah.
Okay. Wrote up a beautiful.
I heard he did, yeah.
And I mean, very, very well written.
There is.
You know, Nellie told me this story, but when he used to trap out at Millstone, and he became friends with Henry Gardner.
Yeah, Henry used to take him up in his plane.
Yeah. Now that's, how many people did Henry Gardner like?
He liked Nellie because Nellie went and asked him if he could use his landing strip to fly his model airplane, because Nellie used to compete with model airplanes on wires, and he said what they used to do is, if you went into a meet or competition, they put ribbons on the tails of the plane, and you guys would fly and try and your plane cut the ribbons off the other one. So he hit it big with Gardner. Gardner really liked him. And he used to take Nellie up on the plane and everything. He was one of the very few guys that he liked, you know. I worked for Gardner for a while, you know.
And he eventually sold that land to Millstone, right?
Yeah, he did. And, you know, he owned Groton Long Point. Did you know that?
No.
And the state came to him and they wanted to buy it. And you know what he told them? It's not for sale. You know what they did? They condemned it. They put $1 million back then in the bank in his name. From what I can hear the story, and he would not sign the papers. And that $1 million stayed in the bank and drew interest for how many years? I don't know. I could be wrong, but that was a story. He wouldn't sell it to him. They condemned it. You know, the Gardners owned, when they came over from Europe, the grant was for the Gardners, from where he could see the coastline from point A to point Z. And Gardners owned all that land. I mean, they still own a lot of land. But the thing was, each generation was only allowed to sell off so much land. In other words, if I was a gardener, I couldn't sell the whole package. could
Now, are they still, are gardeners still around?
Yeah, yeah. One of them lives over off of 95, and the other one lives on Millstone Road. The one I knew let me cut wood when they went in they went in and cut the timber off. And he really not what a nice guy. One brother I didn't know too good. The other brother I knew real good. And he said, "Yeah, you show me proof of liability, I'll let you go cut." I cut up there 4 years, Murray. Because I showed him the thing. I said, "I'm covered with insurance. That's all." He was a nice. He's still around, but I call him Mr. G. Hell of a nice guy. Hell of a nice guy. Oh, anyways, yeah, a lot of water under the bridge.
I really enjoyed Nelson's granddaughter. She wrote a note,
Oh yeah.
and she mentioned how he loved to be in that garage. How he loved it. He used to feed the deer in the backyard. And
Monica was the one with the deer. Yeah, right up to the. She'd call him. I said, "You're crazy." He said, "Come over." She'd call him. They come right up to the back deck, and she used to feed him honeydew melons. She used to go buy them and cut them and feed them. Yeah.
Used to like to drink Ryan ginger, 7 and 7.
Is that what he liked?
Yeah.
I don't know. I remember one time we went out. I took him out when we first started drinking. He wasn't much of a drinker back then when I was drinking. And then we'd party. He was socialized, and we went to the Morton house. I didn't have a license. I lost my license, and he got drunk and he gave up the project. I said, "Come on, Nellie, I'll drive you home." "You sure?" I said, "I'm driving you home." He was plastered. We got in the car, we went on 95, crossroads, we come on 95, down by the airport. There's a check. I'm driving, he had a beautiful 57 Chevy black. I'm driving the car. I said, "Oh, this ain't good, I ain't got no license." I get up to the guy, the cop, he flags me through. I goes, "Man, keep that one." Yeah, we had some stories. We were, every New Year's, nephew would come over with Sandy. We'd go over their house or my house. We switched on and off, all three. And we were over Nellie's on New Year's. We cooked steaks out on the grill. It's cold out, but we got the garage. We opened the garage, put the steaks on, the baked potatoes. The women made the salads. We shut the garage door. We went out, we put the steaks on. We went out to get them. Everything's going, the grill and everything. I said, "Nellie, what's going on?" Unbeknownst to us, George and Gene, they had went out to somewhere with the wives, and they stopped. They saw the grill. They got out and they took it and hid it behind the house. I said, "Who the heck stole the grill? Our steaks are going, And it was George and then Gene. Yeah, George had some parties too. What a great neighborhood. That was the best neighborhood. George told me about the house and I bought it. We were smelt fishing down Winthrop's Cove. George and I out in the boat. And I said, "I'm looking for a house, George, in Waterford." He says, "One right across the street from me." It was a flat roof Florida house built out of 12-inch block. Gene Dyers, the guy built both of them. But they were flat roof, and Gene put an A on his. Eventually I did too. And I got the house real cheap with an extra building lot and beach
Now,
rides.
did the building lot go with that?
Oh yeah, I had a 19,500. The house and the building lot, and the beach rights in the water.
Tremendous.
Well, that was.
Couldn't have a better place to live.
I loved it. I had the best neighborhood. I had the best. All the neighbors are gone now. Gary Williams' parents lived there, but she died, his mother. Then he moved there. But I had George across the street, and I had Russ LeBrie and Cooler. Funny couple. It was like they were like what was his name? He used to call his son-in-law Meathead, Archie Bunker. Russ was a good guy, but he was a funny guy. Then I had Gene alongside me, who was he was a good neighbor. He was a good neighbor. So we had a good neighborhood. So in that summer and evening time, one night on your porch, the next night on that porch, and every weekend we had a picnic. And everyone said, "How come you?" Everyone says, "Why are you hanging around with these old people, Vic?" They're a lot older. I said, "Let me tell you something. Because they're good people, and they're a lot of fun, and they're honest. That's why I hang around with them.
Joey Slicky.
Yeah. I haven't seen Joe in a while.
I haven't seen. Usually, I see him walking over the bridge or
playing
something.
tennis.
Still playing tennis.
Yeah, Bruce Elliott is too.
Wow.
I saw Bruce at we had an alumni class New England 52 to 59 last Saturday down to Langley's. And we had a couple guys from the class of 52, Richie Conover. I grew up with Richie. He was a little older than me, but he lived up on the top of the hill.
Wasn't he a basketball player?
He was a coach, basketball player. He was excellent. And then Jimmy Bunicor was there, because Jimmy and my brother Ronnie, Joey LaJoco, Joey Romano, Zeeks. There was about 5 or 6 of them. Joe Bowdy. They hung around when they were little kids up until they died. They stayed friends. You don't see that.
You don't see it anymore.
Them guys were the greatest. They always watched out. My brother Ronnie was a little short guy, but they loved Ronnie because Ronnie was related to Romano, my cousin, and Bowdy lived up the street. Patsy Santangelo lived right. You'd drive into his house if you went straight, and they all lived in that area. Jimmy Bunicor, I went up to Jimmy. He's got a walker now. He's still, I went up and said, "Excuse me, sir, this is at the reunion." I said, "James Bunicor from New London, outstanding football player, coach, well-renowned." He started laughing. "Who are you?" I said, "I'm Ronnie LaJoco's brother. My brother was my half-brother. His name was LaJoco. My name was GASKA." And he said, "Oh, you're Vic. I was out to your house a couple times and ate at that Avenue." I said, "Yeah." I said, "Jim, you think you could go out for a short pass?" He said, "Vic, that's the trouble. I went out for too many of them." But he looked good. He looked good. And then I went up to Richie Conover. I said, "Hey, you're Richie Conover," because he lived at the top of the hill. And his mother used to buy lobsters and crabs off me. I said, "Yeah." I said, "You still owe me 2 weeks for the papers, And he started laughing. He was our MC. It was good. It was nice to see a lot of the people,
You remember Beansy Waterson?
Of course I remember.
You remember when he built the cement boat down
I
at...
remember that down at Golden Spur up on the... Yeah.
Is that where the horses used to jump off?
Well, right across, they had the Earl's diving horse. They had a tower built. I had 100 postcards of that horse. They'd bring him up on the tower, walk him around, and the horse would dive off. Because I was deep there. They used to bring barges and stuff and unload stuff up there. And it was the Earl's only diving horse. It was a white, I don't know if it was an Arabian or what it was. But I had postcards of the horse.
Did you ever see that?
No, that was before my time, Murray. But right there, where the diving horse was, you go over the bridge. Pat Casamona lived right on the right there. And you go over the bridge, and there's still a house there. That used to be a place where George Cohn and Chris would go dancing. It cost a nickel to get in, and George loved to dance too. And they would go there and dance. It was like a dance hall. That's what it was.
George Cohn?
Oh yeah, George was a dancer.
I didn't realize that.
He liked to dance. Oh yeah.
Now, did you pick a? I don't remember you as being that smooth on the dance floor. Did you pick up any of your father's moves?
My father was a different type dancer. He was a ballroom dancer. I wasn't into. I could do waltzes and stuff like that, but my thing was jitterbug.
Oh, you could do that?
Oh, that's all I did. I loved it. I loved it. Matter of fact, I danced at the reunion, but not at jitterbug. But when we were teenagers, me, Charlie Messina, a bunch of us.
Charlie Messina.
Yeah, we'd travel around to all these places.
Take 10 diner, right?
Huh?
Charlie Messina was a Take 10 diner.
Yeah, I grew up with Charlie. Met him in high school. Matter of fact, I was his best man when he married Pam Richardson. Yeah, Charlie, I love Charlie. Gone. A lot of guys are gone. As a matter of fact, I seen at the reunion, I ran into Punky Rolls. He was there with Gladys, his wife. She was, Clary? Was she Clary? Gladys Clary?
I don't know them.
Yeah. She was a cheerleader. She was class of 58 with me, but I always called him Clem. We called him Clem or Punky. And he was there, and I went and
How about the Molesky brothers?
They're gone, man.
Both of them are gone?
Oh, a long time ago.
And how about Billy McCormick and Dickie McCormick?
Billy, I take my hat off to Billy. When Nellie started having his health issues, I don't know, 2 or 3 years, Billy McCormick was there every Sunday for coffee. Go down, take Nellie out for coffee, or before he'd take him out for a ride. Never missed. Never missed. I'm sorry to say I didn't. The last time I see Nellie was about a year before he passed, you know. And it was sad to see him like that.
You know,
But he was...
I always wonder, you know, when we started, we did a lot of lead work.
yes,
Nellie was a master.
I still do lead work. I make sinkers.
I wonder if that had something to do with
When
he got sick.
when I went on a permit up the Montville powerhouse with the fitters, and then he sent me up there. I guess it was he was a business agent. They needed some guys. I remember Johnny, Christina, and a couple other guys.
Johnny, Christine.
And
Yeah,
we did all the toilets. All the, what do they call them?
Closet plungers.
Yeah. And we were leading them with ram's neck and pouring the lead. Well, I always worked with lead. I always made sinkers. As a matter of fact, I just sold a couple 100 pounds of sinkers 2 weeks ago to the charter boats. But about 3 months ago, someone said to me, "Have you ever been checked for lead?" Well, my Uncle Steve was a big sinker maker.
Yeah.
He supplied the tackle shops and everything. I said, "No, I haven't." So I called up. I went up to Flanders. Took a blood test for lead, but I was clean. She said, "No, you don't have no lead." I said, "Well, I'm surprised I don't, But them guys at EB, all them lead bonders, they all died from that lead poison. But my uncle would open a garage door and make. Matter of fact, I got his molds, and his kid gave me 2 or 3 buckets of sinkers all made up, drails, but no one uses them anymore. So I'm melting them down. And, lead is hard to come by now. It's, they're putting a kibosh on it, and I think the industry with the fishing are going to trying to switch over. But what are you going to use if you're not going to use lead?
What's going on with the striped bass?
I don't think anything's going on with this. All they're doing is they're giving you from 28 to 35, 5 or 6 inch window, and that's the frame you got. If you get a 28-inch fish, you can keep it. If it's over 35, it goes back. So, they used to give you, they used to have a thing you go up and you could get one bass, 24 inches, but they did away with that. But let me tell you something, Murray. This year out in the race, everyone I talked to, the charter boat guys, the guys that go out and fish, they said they've never seen as many bass as this year.
Really?
Yeah. They said it's unbelievable with bass and big bluefish.
And how many bass can you catch?
One.
One bass.
And you know how many bass die that get thrown back? They're a little short. They get hooked deep. What do? Boom. It's government got in on it, and I'm going to leave it there.
How about the blue shell crabs in the river?
A lot of blue shells this year.
We had a lot of fun, boy.
A lot of blue shells, Murray. But they got a saving grace because all the rain and stuff, the water's always dirty. You can't go get them at night. You can't see down 6 inches. So Sean went over to the cove in the daytime with the traps. He got 25 keepers. I went off the dock for a while.
It's still 7 1/4?
No, 5 inches.
5 inches?
They got to be 5. And I got 5 keepers. I said, "Oh, enough for a sauce. I'm going home and make sauce. Crab sauce." Oh, I love it.
Remember that? I asked you this before, but remember the winter we went clamming in the Niantic River?
Yeah.
In the dead of winter?
Yeah. I used to scallop
I'll
right
be honest
through
with you,
it.
that wasn't that much fun.
No, it's not. Well, I haven't clammed yet because it's closed. But the dirty water hasn't been open all summer. The scalloping's gone. There's still scallops around.
What happened to the scallops?
Pollution.
Now, wasn't the guy raising launder again, wasn't he?
No, he's doing oysters.
Oh, did that work?
Yeah, the kids got him out. He's got traps out by Wigwam Rock, and he's doing good, I guess. He leased a couple pieces of land out there from the state, and he's got his traps, and he's doing good. I mean, he's a hard worker, I'll say that for him. I don't know him personally, I've met him once, but he's a hard worker, so it's not an easy business, you know. I had a friend of mine that works over on Fisher's Island. They have a big oyster place at Fisher's Island, you know. The guy raises them there, but Murray, you can't make no money on the water. The charter boats you go out, and you want to take the kid out for a day or half a day, it's $100. Oh, and if you go all day, it's $1.30, $1.40.
Took my grandson out on a Blackhawk.
Nice boat, yeah.
Wasn't that nice?
No.
No. I was seasick from 10 o'clock in the
Well,
morning
that's you, but the boat's a
till
nice
4
boat.
o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah,
you know,
that's not
we
a
couldn't
good-
go in the river where it's nice and calm. We got to go way the hell out there.
You don't go in a river.
Then we didn't get we catch anything there. We go way over to Block Island, way the hell over
Went
there.
over for sea bass and
I
codfish.
was dying. I couldn't wait to get off that boat. I threw up morning, noon, and up until we got off at 4 o'clock in the
seasick is-
afternoon.
Frankie Peter, we took him out to Block Island cod fishing years ago with Paul Androvich on a Pangora, and Frankie got seasick.
Oh, Frank, tell us a story about Frank Peter. Come
I
on.
loved it. Look,
Oh, come on. Come on.
Frankie the Fonz. We're going to go motorcycle riding, so he bought a brand new machine.
I remember that.
And I bought a brand new one out of Ralph Strong's Woods bike. So I said, Frank, we're going Sunday. Me, Nellie, Neffy, Georgie Worrell, Frankie White Jr., Bobby Colello, Bob Silver. There's about 12 of us, 10 or 12. We meet at Georgie Worrell's house. We go, we ride through the woods, we cross Fire Street, we go all the way out to Haddam, and then we come back. I said, you want to go? Yeah, I'll go. He shows up, black leather boots, a black short jacket, you know. I said, where are you going, a parade? Well, you got to go through mud and water and stuff. The next Sunday we go riding, here comes Frankie. He's got the whole outfit now for woods riding. He's smartened up quick. Yeah, Frankie was a good
What
guy.
a character he was.
Smart guy. He ran that jobby for M&K. That job, he was superintendent out Millstone for him. Frankie was smart with figures, and he was just smart all the way around.
He was a character.
Yeah, he was. Everyone liked Frankie. Frankie was a good guy.
He died. He
Yeah.
died too. He had a heart attack, right?
Yeah, he told me, he says, I'm going to die before I'm 50, Vic. I just see his in memoriam in the paper, his daughter, he's got two wonderful daughters. They put it in every year. I think Frankie's been going 25, 30 years.
That's horrible.
I know. Well,
You know, we had so much fun. They were
the
best
kids
years,
today don't know what's
the
going
best
on.
years. The best years of my life were back then.
Oh, yeah, no, I mean, I think we grew up in the best time there was, believe me. Everyone talks about New London now. Let me tell you something, I was an East New London boy, and I'll tell you what, New London was quite a place. New London, I had the best of two worlds, Riverside Park. My father was a lifeguard there before I was born, and I became a lifeguard there. And they said to me, Herman, I said, you want to go to Ocean Beach? I said, no. I'll go to Green Harbor Beach or East New London. That's it. I said, I'm not going to Ocean Beach. Don't want. My father was a lifeguard at Ocean Beach before the
Now, your father
38
worked for the
hurricane.
city as well.
Yes, he did. Yeah, yep.
He was a flamboyant.
He was a sharp guy. I still got some of his sport
You
jackets.
been by a old house lately?
Yeah, they fixed it.
Yeah,
all up.
you know what happened? The guys bought it. They fixed it up. There was a septic system there.
Yeah.
They weren't tied into the sewer.
There's no sewers on the street.
They ripped the septic system out. So now they did all this work to the houses, and they can't use them because to tie into the sewer line is a major, major project because you got to go into the street and run it back toward Thames Valley Steel.
There's no sewers on Eastern Avenue. There's no sewers.
Well,
It's
right-
all ledge.
Way down it is. Yeah,
When I worked for Thames Valley Steel, before I was out of the boat, I got married in '64.
Hey, did you know Jimmy Hosner?
Who?
Jimmy Hosner?
No. When I worked for Thames Valley Steel after I left the boat, I was there 3 years welding. Our sewer used to run, they had it in the shop. And when it got filled up, it would flood the shop, and then the overflow would go down to the river, to the Thames River. So there's no sewers on that street. It's all ledge. They took soundings at the Coast Guard Academy, and the ledge runs all the way down to the bottom of Eastern Avenue. How are you going to put sewers?
There's always a way.
There's water. Yeah, but you know what it costs to blast? They don't want to blast, Murray. It costs them tons of dough. Yeah. Hey,
So, Vic, we're just about out of time. What do you go down to New London and all? What do you see?
Once in a while,
what do you
I
see
go-
happening?
I go down to New London. I like to drive by the I like to go through Riverside Park. I grew up there. I was a lifeguard there. I spent a lot of my childhood there. And I go down by the old homestead. And if you look at my father's house, there's a wrought iron rail out in the front that I built in high school. It's still there. And the other one is I built at Thames Valley Steel when I worked in the ornamental shop.
Polish Club?
Huh?
The Polish Club?
I helped put the roof on a Polish club. I belong to the Polish club, and I belong to the Moose Club across the street. If I got thrown out of one, I went to the other one.
Hey, I want to read this. This is about Nellie. This was from his granddaughter. You didn't read it, but I'm going to give you a copy. But
Yeah.
I want to read it, because if we were lucky, if one was lucky enough to know Nellie,
Yeah. No, it's a good guy.
tremendous guy. I'd be nothing without Nelson Cohen. I'll tell you right now.
Eh,
Well, anyway,
did okay, Murray.
the granddaughter, who I never met, she said,
I haven't either.
"Not a minute goes by where we all don't miss you. I'm grateful. I've had 23 years of wonderful memories with the best grandfather. I will always remember all of our whirlpool and other games we used to play in the pool during the summers, feeding the deer, car rides, and just sitting out in the garage or on the porch watching the weather and listening to your stories." He loved the weather. Now I always
Yeah.
loved the weather.
Oh, yeah.
"They will forever bring a smile to my face and help me get through difficult days. I hope you and Grammy are having a time of your life in the afterlife together. Rest in peace. Love you so much. XOXO. Love, Allison."
I met the grandson. Nellie used to take him fishing all the time. His, I think, Debbie's son. But Nellie, there's one story I was going to tell you, and then it slipped my mind. I got a call from Vaughn, Joe Hartung.
Yeah,
Call him.
Puerto Rico.
Yeah, he said, "Vic, there's going to be a mass for Nelson down at St. Joe's, September 3rd. He says, let the guys know." He said, I got it fixed up with the priest down there. Well, Joe did a statue of one of the saints, full-size statue, carving. He said, "Why don't you take a look at that when you get down?" But he said, "Go down to the service,
I didn't know about that.
Yeah, there's a memorial service." Well, I'm not into that kind of thing, but I'm going to go.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Hey, yeah, with Nellie, there's a lot of good memories about it.
Vic, we're out of time.
Huh?
We are out of time.
Okay, buddy.
Will you come back on again?
Sure.
'Cause people love you,
I don't know why. I hope I don't owe money.
You still got your guitar?
Oh,
Maybe
yeah,
you
I
can bring
still
your
play.
guitars. You still got it?
Yeah, I don't. I had a Chinese guy fix my hand. Look at it.
We're out of
Right.
time. Drew,
Hey.
thank you, Drew. Another spectacular job.
God bless
And,
everyone.
I hope if Nellie's watching, I hope you're okay,
Yeah.
Nellie. We love you. Murray, signing off from the city too tough to die in London.
You got it.